So Oliver is now being trained to take over the League of Assassins, but it turns out that he was faking his allegiance the whole time, and he and Malcolm Merlyn are working together to take down the League from the inside. Why is Oliver trusting Malcolm? And why is Malcolm still alive? Oh, I forgot to mention the flashbacks this season, didn't I? Basically, Oliver runs around Hong Kong a lot, and that is a literal description of most scenes. He's just running around Hong Kong because he and Argus are trying to find this biological weapon called the Alpha Omega. Real original name there, writers. And it turns out that in the present, the guy who was helping Oliver find the Alpha Omega in the past, Maceo, joined the League of Assassins and gave it to Ra's al Ghul, and Ra's tells Oliver to use it to kill everyone in Starling City. Apparently, if someone becomes Ra's al Ghul, they have to destroy their home, which would be really awkward if they came from New York or something. Remember when the villains of past seasons were motivated by revenge, pain, and loss? Ra's al Ghul wants to destroy Starling City because it's just kind of what he does. This is also the most boring Ra's al Ghul of all time. I mean, sure, they do give him some cool action scenes and he does seem like a really effective fighter, but most of the time he just stands around and talks to people. So, to try to stop the League from destroying their home, the rest of Team Arrow, along with Katana and Malcolm Merlyn, attacks Nanda Parbat, and wow, Laurel is really fighting those League of Assassins members well. Remember back in Season 2 when Sarah and Oliver were having trouble fighting one member of the League? Remember a few episodes ago when Laurel was having trouble fighting thugs in a back alley? Yeah, this all adds up. So Ra's al Ghul locks pretty much every side character in a room and releases the Alpha Omega virus into it. Wow, I really feel the tension of this situation. I hope everyone makes it out okay. I'm sure they're really dead. Oh look, they're not really dead. What a shock. Ra's al Ghul then releases the virus into Starling City, and members of Team Arrow go to stop the virus around the city. And, I don't think Thea has the cure for the disease. Diggle, maybe you should tell her to take a few steps back, because she's definitely gonna get infected. So Ra's al Ghul is like, 1v1 me mate, and Oliver goes to do it, and predictably gets beaten. Ray finds a way to disperse a vaccine for the Alpha Omega across the city, but if he does it, he won't have time to go save Oliver in his suit. Felicity's logic in this dire situation where millions of lives are at risk is...
What? No! Ray! Oliver!
There's one life against the cities. What would Oliver do?
Yeah, this is when Felicity starts to become unbearable and also a terrible person. So to beat Ra's al Ghul, Oliver decides to use the same moves on Ra's that Ra's used on him when he killed him, because I guess Ra's has no way to defend himself against his own moves, which he should have recognized as soon as Oliver started doing them. So Oliver wins, Ra's al Ghul is dead, and Felicity even manages to save Oliver.
If I could figure out how to get this thing off, I would be kissing you right now.
I'm pretty sure it's just a helmet. Seriously, you can fly that suit, but you can't operate a helmet?
You're lucky you're still alive. You wouldn't be had you not been wearing League armor.
So with the city saved once again, Oliver decides to retire with Felicity.
You did not fail this city, and I promise I will not fail you by leaving it again.
But whatever, I guess the massively less experienced members of your team will be fine, and technically the Arrow is dead, so what are you really gonna do? Oliver isn't really good at making good decisions, especially considering he makes Malcolm Merlyn the new Ra's al Ghul. I'm still questioning why Malcolm is alive, but Oliver just hands him the most powerful army in the world.
My only aspiration was to free myself of your father's grasp, a feat we both managed to achieve.
I don't see how it was possible in your case.
When I was your father's captive 3 months ago, he tortured me with his blade.
And you survived because my father chose to release you.
Funny thing, prophecies.
So the season ends with Oliver and Felicity literally riding off into the sunset.
Can I say something strange? I'm happy. Pull the trigger! Do it! Do it, motherfucker! Pull the trigger!
But little did we know there was nothing but dark times ahead for the series. Overall, this season was a big step back and put everything that was weak about the show on full display. The story was fine, but the main problem was the stupidity of characters all over the place that just made everything seem ridiculous. The only time that the season really shined was when the Flash showed up, because the chemistry between Oliver and Barry is really fun, and it was also pretty incredible to just see those two characters together on screen. So now we're in season 4. And since much of the Arrow fan base was unhappy with the garbage fire that was season 3 and made that unhappiness very known, I figured the creative team would do their best to get the show back on track. And initially, it seemed like they actually might. Everyone was talking about a lighter tone, Oliver got a new costume, there were promises of more comic book elements to be introduced. I was skeptical about this, mainly because Arrow worked as a darker, more realistic show, but sometimes change can work, and if there was one thing I thought Arrow needed, it was change. So did season 4 recover? Well, I wrote a little song about it. No. Yeah, season 4 is basically where the show just falls off a cliff. Executive producer Speed Weed. Yeah, I'm gonna need some speed weed to get through this. I mean, season 3 was bad, but it made sense to a certain point. There were some good plot developments, there was some decent character work. But season 4 is so full of internal contradictions and just zero logic that I seriously questioned whether anyone who worked on the series in earlier seasons was still around. I have no idea how people could watch season 4 and see the same show as season 2 because it seems completely different to me. So the season starts off with Oliver and Felicity living in the suburbs together, a peaceful life of romance. Oh good, just what I always wanted to see.
Felicity Smoke. You have failed this omelet.
But a new threat has come to Starling City. Well, actually it's called Star City now, like the comics, renamed in, I don't think that's how naming cities works, but okay. And I guess Oliver leaving Diggle, Thea, and Laurel in charge of protecting the city turned out to be a bad idea. Wow, what a shock! Honestly, I don't think you can trust anyone who thinks that wearing this is a good idea. So the characters go to bring Oliver back, and it turns out that Felicity had actually been helping them the whole time. This is the first instance of Felicity's extreme hypocrisy because apparently lying to her is like the worst thing you can do, like ever. You lie to her, she loses her mind, she gives you a 5-minute lecture on lying.
I cannot hear another lie. You're the only person on this planet who considers the truth complicated. I care that you lied to me just now.
But she also lies to Oliver repeatedly and about very important things. So Oliver comes back to his city and faces off with this season's main villain, Damien Darhk, who possesses magical abilities. One of these abilities is the cheapest way to film superpowers in TV history. So basically this whole season is about Oliver and his team fighting against Damien Darhk and his organization, Hive, to try to stop them from destroying the city. Wow, the main villain wants to destroy the city? Man, these writers are just really reinventing the show with every season. It's just so dumb, and the focus of the season shifts around so much that it's really hard to keep track of what we're supposed to be caring about. The flashbacks are just meaningless at this point, and don't serve in any way to inform us of how Oliver became the person that he is now. It's pretty much just a retread of the season 1 island plot, but with no Slade and with magic. Also 1000% worse. In the present day, Oliver is now running for mayor, a plotline which really just meanders along. The plot is essentially, oh, I'm running for mayor. Oh, I can't run for mayor. Oh, I'm mayor now. And that kind of points to why the show may have gone so far downhill this season. Oliver Queen is the main character of the show, allegedly, but they don't give him a story. They don't give him any room for development. He just kind of sits around when he's not going out to fight. But Oliver isn't fighting as the Arrow anymore. No, the Arrow is dead. Now he's the Green Arrow. I'm pretty sure people would be able to figure out that it's the same guy. Oliver is the same character as he's always been, and just because he goes through some bad stuff sometimes doesn't mean his character is growing. On top of that, Oliver seems to lose all of his fighting ability and is able to be beaten by pretty much anyone he comes across. He was trained by Ra's al Ghul. Just a reminder, this season basically turns Oliver into a complete idiot. Instead, the person who gets all of the focus and plot is Felicity. Hooray. I remember when Felicity was a character that I really liked because she's really good in small doses and was a fun, quirky source of comedy relief. That was her purpose. But she becomes the focus of everything and becomes this weird sociopathic character. She's just despicable. Her worst moment comes in this year's crossover with The Flash, after Oliver learns that he has a son he never knew about. Felicity finds out about his son. Side note, she actually says the line,
"I run enough tests on your blood to recognize your DNA sequence anywhere."
What is that all about? Anyway, Felicity finds out and loses her mind and just breaks up with Oliver because he didn't immediately tell her about the son that he found out about that same day.
Did you know that my whole world just exploded? And I think that I'm entitled to a minute to process that by myself.
You somehow managed to go to CCPD and track down Barry. You didn't keep it to yourself, you kept it from me. When were you planning on telling me?
I don't know.
And why didn't he tell her? Because the mother of his son told him not to tell anyone, very specifically anyone, or he would never see his son again. But Felicity treats this like Oliver hid the kid from her intentionally. Barry resets the timeline, but later on in the season, she leaves Oliver again for the same reason. What? Oh yeah, and she also has a semi-character arc. I say semi because nothing of substance really happens, and when you think about it, it doesn't make any sense. Felicity gets paralyzed when Damien Darhk tries to kill her and Oliver, and this for some reason causes her to question her place and her usefulness on the team. Yes, her role on the team, which primarily consists of sitting down, is clearly very deeply affected by being in a wheelchair. Yeah, Arrow totally isn't borrowing anything from Batman.
Overwatch, we're on site.
Excuse me?
Well, I thought that it was time you got a code name. What do you think?
It's perfect.
I was gonna go with Oracle, but it's taken.
Nope, it's completely its own entity. And that whole paralysis thing, it's not a big deal. Felicity's walking again in about 5 episodes, thanks to magical technology. Her hacking ability pretty much becomes magical too at this point. I mean, she hacks a drone from a tablet in like 5 seconds while she's being shot at. She also detonates a nuclear bomb and wipes out a whole town, but doesn't even seem to acknowledge it. You know, like a person.
God, what am I doing?
It's okay, sweetheart.
Don't sweetheart me. You don't get to do that, but you're right. I can't get wrapped up in this.
And I think I maybe could have forgiven her if she hadn't dragged the rest of her family into the season, because Donna Smoke is the worst character in the history of the world. Donna Smoke is the Jar Jar Binks of Arrow.
Don't worry. I have it handled. I wouldn't be a Jewish mother if I didn't worry.
All of the family and personal drama is centered around Felicity. They even introduce a villain who turns out to be her father. He's also a hacker, so I guess hacking is a hereditary trait now? In the world of Arrow Season 4 logic, probably. So Oliver and Felicity now have this terrible on-again, off-again relationship where they love each other, but Felicity just can't be with someone who can't trust her. Yes, Felicity can't trust Oliver, even though the mother of Oliver's son tells Felicity to her face, "Hey, I told Oliver not to tell anyone about our son, so don't blame him, it was all me." Felicity still blames Oliver and acts like, well, he still should have told me.
Felicity.
I know the position Samantha put you in. I know it was an impossible decision, but you were right. You should have told me. You're sending William away, and I understand why. You know that I do, but once again, you have left me out of the decision.
Please die in a fire. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That Oliver, Felicity, or Olicity relationship is the plot that gets the most focus this season. And since it seems so terrible and dysfunctional, there's no reason to care. But they just keep shoving it down our throats because a bunch of people on Tumblr really like them together, and the writers said, yeah, we can definitely pander to that. This is the CW after all. Yeah, for some reason, I just can't really get on the same side as people who harass Stephen Amell, telling him to leave his wife and daughter and marry his co-worker. And yes, that actually happens. There's a whole conspiracy with the Olicity fans that Stephen Amell's marriage is all a sham, and he really belongs with the woman who plays his girlfriend on TV. They even Photoshop pictures of Stephen Amell and his wife and daughter. They Photoshop Emily Bett-Rickard's face onto it. It is the creepiest serial killer stuff. I hate the internet so much sometimes. In terms of the season's story, it would have made much more sense to just kill Felicity at the mid-season finale, like they almost did, but she stuck around and things just got worse.
Felicity may have gotten her brains from you, but she got her creativity from moi.
Matching lipstick to live while I may not
You're
be
always such a
father of the
stick in the
year.
mud. Oh, try the past 2 decades.
Yes, I recently took a Let's all take
I remember names just like I know what it is.
It's amazing, because I remember not having much of a choice in the matter.
That's so funny. Not.